Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Hau Huddle. We got two cousins that want to love talking about all things football. Going to do a little bit of a college preview today for the college football playoff as well. My name is Andrew Howe, joined alongside Xavier Howe. Xavier, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing great, and the NFL season truly heating up. Obviously, we just had all of our conference championship games in college football finish up as well. So, getting ready for the playoff, the Heisman, and all that. So, we'll do a quick segment on that as well. But first things first, let's recap some games that happened in Week 14 of the NFL season because there were definitely some pretty exciting ones. Let's start off in the AFC North, where the Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Baltimore Ravens 27 to 22. Xavier, I thought that the Ravens were going to have a good opportunity to go on a bit of a run and take this division, but they continued to falter, even against a team like the Steelers, who also I thought was going to be struggling.
Yeah, I mean, they're at home. I think really right now it's like really not looking good, especially for Steelers offense that hasn't been looking good going into this game. And I mean Lamar. I mean he had an okay game, but really like their defense, like they just let Pittsburgh run over them. Rodgers had a good game, and I think it's on the defense because I mean the offense didn't put up that bad of drives, but they definitely have got to finish in the red zone, which is one thing.
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing for this game for me is that the Ravens had a lot of opportunities but weren't able to capitalize on all of them. They were 2 for 6 on red zone trips. They only, of course, scoring those two touchdowns. One Lamar Jackson running it in, and the other one Isaiah Likely catching one. But yeah, you got to give credit to Aaron Rodgers. I mean, a lot of us were thinking that he was washed, that it was over for the Steelers. A lot of people calling for Tomlin's job, but he showed up in a big way. DK Metcalf finally having like a really good game for the Steelers. It feels like he's had like a couple of okay games, but this is finally like a really good one for him. And
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure what to think about the Ravens right now. I really thought they were going to run away with this division, but now it's not looking as likely. It's going to be a bit of a dogfight towards the end. Speaking of that division, one of their teams that we thought maybe could make a run, the Cincinnati Bengals, lose in a heartbreaker to the Buffalo Bills, 39 to 34 in Orchard Park. This was a very Bengals focused first 3 quarters, and then Buffalo turned on the Jets at the end, including 2 interceptions of Joe Burrow in the fourth quarter.
yeah. And Joe Burrow was looking good until he had those two flaws, and really, I just feel bad for him because to be honest, I don't honestly don't think it's that his fault much of it. I mean, maybe on the first one we threw that screen pass, but the second one really was just kind of unlucky. I feel like, but sad to see the Bengals postseason hopes go down. But good for Buffalo. But I mean, that's kind of crazy how they scored that much points in the fourth quarter. But I mean, Josh Allen had a great game. So.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen always clutches up, it seems like. Even though it looked like Joe Burrow was going to outplay the Bills for a little bit at the start of that game, just looking really, really good at the start. And the Bills got off to a bit of a slower start, like they do quite often. But just another instance where the Bengals score 30 or more points and lose. This is the third time that's happened this season, and just kind of hard to swallow given that you had a really good chance to win this game. As for Burrow, yeah, one of those interceptions definitely his fault. The other one, maybe not. But at the end of the day, you have to credit Josh Allen. That huge touchdown pass to make it like a to cut the deficit to 3, or actually I forget, did that give them the lead or no, that just cut the deficit to
Yeah,
Jackson Hawes in the fourth quarter, and then and then afterwards the run to seal the deal to allow them to kneel out the clock at the end. I mean, that's just MVP level stuff that we saw from him.
yeah. I mean, especially that run, like you said, on 3rd and 15, that really shows clutch gene. Even though not a lot of people pay attention to that, but the Bengals would have gotten the ball back and had a shot at it.
Yeah, 100%. The Jacksonville Jaguars end up winning 36 to 19 over the Indianapolis Colts. They are now in first place in the AFC South, Xavier. And we got to start worrying about the Colts because after starting off 8 and 2, they've lost 3 straight, and more importantly, Daniel Jones now out for the year with a torn Achilles. Just a heartbreaker here for Indy. There's been some discussions about Philip Rivers signing to the practice squad. Xavier, do you even remember when Philip Rivers was playing in the NFL?
I mean, barely, but I know he was legend.
He was really good in San Diego. Played 1 year in Indianapolis, obviously, which is why he knows some of the systems and why he got ended up kind of coming back here. What do you think is going to happen here for the Colts and in this division?
I mean, this is not a good position for the Colts, but this is a prime position for Philip come in and turn this year around. I mean, they've lost 3 games in a row, right? Like just like the Eagles,
Lost
but I
three in a
mean,
row.
3 in a row. I mean, if Philip Rivers comes in, takes his offense over, and they make the postseason, that would be an amazing story. But right now, it's not looking that great. I mean, Riley Leonard. I don't know. Maybe he can get it done, but I don't really have any hopes with him in replacing Daniel Jones. And this offense really has not looked good the past few weeks. But you gotta give credit to Jacksonville because Trevor Lawrence is lately been playing pretty again, is doing good with the workload. And if those receivers can play well in Jacksonville, I think this offense will be really fun to watch.
Yeah, and the defense for Jacksonville always has been really high quality this season as well. Devin Lloyd with another interception. This guy's just been racking them up as the linebacker. And yeah, the Jaguars look like a real big threat. And not a lot of people are talking about them, I feel like. So I'm glad to see them kind of step it up. As for Indy, yeah, it's looking very bleak. Let's remember, Philip Rivers has not played NFL football in 5 seasons. It was the COVID year in 2020 when he last played, and he's now 44 years old and is a grandfather. And yeah, he was coaching high school football earlier this season. That was what his job was. So for him to come in and be an NFL quarterback, going to be very, very scared. It's very, very, I'm not 100% convinced just yet. Maybe we'll see when they play the Seahawks this week. But yeah, Riley Leonard's hurt now. Anthony Richardson is still hurt. Daniel Jones obviously out for the year. Just a really tough situation, not only for this year, but also for the future for the Colts because they also traded 2 of their first-round picks for Sauce Gardner earlier on in this season. So a lot of big question marks that are going to have to be answered here. The New Orleans Saints beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are on an absolute slide. After starting off 6-2, Xavier, the Bucs are now 1-4, sit at 7-6, and are tied with the Panthers at the top of the NFC South. Do you think that Tampa Bay has what it takes, or do you think the Panthers have a chance to win this division?
I mean, what the heck happened to this team? I mean, everyone was saying, "Oh, Baker's unanimous MVP." Right now, I mean, if you look at his stats, he threw 122 yards and he had a 55 quarterback rating, which is not very good for someone who was called an MVP. Count was outdueled by Saints quarterback Tyler Shuck. He's a rookie, and his team was 2-10 prior to this game, and they were at home, matter of fact. And I mean, this team's really falling apart, and I don't know, maybe it's the whole organization, the coaching staff, but they really had it nailed down in the beginning of the season, and they've absolutely just crumbled apart. And yes, I do think Carolina can steal this division, but the Bucs definitely have to win their next few games if they really want to take this division away.
Yeah, thankfully for the Bucs, they have 2 games against the Panthers in the last 3 weeks, which can be a blessing or a curse if Carolina comes to play against them. Those are going to be really exciting matchups to watch down the stretch. But let's remember, Xavier, that the Bucs' beginning of the schedule, their whole thing was that they were winning all these super, super close games, these game-winning drives by Baker at the end of the game. 23-point win against Atlanta, 1-point win against Houston, 2-point win against New York, 3-point win against Seattle. That's not necessarily super sustainable, and we're starting to see that right here. It wasn't like the Bucs were ever really blowing out teams, and now some of those misfortunes are going the other way. For Baker, I think he's kind of dealing with some sort of injury, so we have to take that into consideration. Plus, obviously it was like raining really bad, so in terms of the passing yards and stuff, I don't really fault him. Tyler Shuck running for 2 touchdowns was absolutely awesome to see, but yeah, I'm worried about what this Bucks team is going to look like, and I'm pretty excited about the Panthers' chances. They play them this week. It's going to be exciting, or next week, I should say. It's going to be exciting. Let's get on to our big primetime matchups. The Packers beat the Bears 21-28. Your thoughts, Xavier, on the Packers potentially being a threat in the NFC?
I was a threat, and I mean, defense, offense, it's just they're a very well balanced team, and especially with Micah playing like he is right now, and their secondary has not been doing too bad, and Christian Watson really has stepped up coming back from the injury. And some people didn't expect this, but he's really showed out, and he's been that threat that we've all wanted him to be, that deep ball threat. And he's really showing it. And I think he's really improved from his rookie year when he used to drop all his passes. It's really great sight to see for Green Bay coming.
Yeah, I'm suddenly worried a little bit about Chicago because their last 3 games are Green Bay, San Francisco, and Detroit. 3 powerhouses in the NFC, and Detroit versus Chicago, Xavier, if we think Green Bay is going to run away with this division, could actually be a play-in game for the playoffs, which is unbelievable to think about for the Chicago Bears, who were the 1 seed just a couple of weeks ago. But their schedule really does tighten up. I think that they're still a good team, but we'll have to see if they're able to kind of hold it down going forward. Let's talk about the Sunday Night Football game between the Texans and the Chiefs. 20-10 victory for Houston in this one. It never really seemed close, and the Houston defense continues to look absolutely incredible. And the Chiefs now fall to 6-7 on the season. This is a really dangerous spot. We've never seen the Chiefs in a position like this, and they're not going to have a chance to win their division this year.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas City, this is all what everyone wants to see, including me. But, Pat Mahomes, like, I mean, what is going on? I mean, I don't know what really happened with him, but if you realize he just threw 314 for 33. And I don't know what's going on with them right now, but their playoff hopes, especially in their division, are not really looking that good right now. And Texans defense, I still believe is the best in the NFL, and they show up every week, including against Pat Mahomes. And their whole entire offense is looking good, and feeding Woody Marks, and C.J. Stroud has really improved his accuracy, and he's cleaned up those picks, and he's looking good.
Yeah, Stroud is doing what he has to do. Nico Collins is a huge part of this team, and him and Woody Marks are gonna have to continue to play super high level football the rest of the way. But yeah, Houston's gonna have to ride their defense, but they've been doing it pretty well. And yeah, for Kansas City, pretty worried. They're officially knocked out of their division in the AFC West. They could still sneak in as a wild card, but it's going to become relatively difficult to do so. We'll talk about the playoff implications in just a little bit because another team that is involved is the Los Angeles Chargers, who won on Monday night in overtime against the Philadelphia Eagles at SoFi. Xavier, your Eagles are not looking too hot right now. They've lost 3 games in a row, and I think the biggest question on everyone's minds now is Jalen Hurts because he threw 4 interceptions and had 5 total turnovers in this game alone.
I mean, a lot of hate in the locker room for him, definitely, and a lot of hate. Not that much hate for me as a fan, but it's just like not hate, but you've got to have some kind of feeling for your quarterback having 5 turnovers in a game where the other quarterback their offense just couldn't get going either, which is kind of stinging. And really, we're dropping down to 8-5. The Cowboys are sitting right behind us, and if the Cowboys steal this division, that will be really disappointing and really disappointing as a fan. But the offense was looking good when we were winning those games, but now apparently AJ Brown needs to have a good game, and then Saquon has a good game. But now our offense isn't looking the identity that we had in the first few weeks, which is not a great sight to see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with the Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback, but the fact that he has had a couple of rough games in a row definitely raises some eyebrows, at least for this season, whether it's the offensive schemes that are going to be put together or something else. The good news for them is they play Washington twice, and then they play Vegas this week, so their schedule is not the hardest. But the Cowboys also play Washington and New York throughout throughout the next couple of weeks as well. So there's definitely opportunities for this to get a little hairy. I think the Eagles will make the playoffs, but the bigger question is, can they go on a playoff run even if they win their division? Because right now it's not looking like that could be the case unless we see some big turnarounds going forward. But let's talk about overall the general playoff races here, Xavier, because I feel like things are really exciting in the NFL this year. Obviously, in the NFC, you have some really, really good teams in the Rams and the Seahawks. They're both fighting for the top of their division right now, tied at 10-3. I guess overall, let's start off in the NFC. What's your general thoughts about this playoff race with the 7th seed, the wild card Chicago, being at 9-4?
Yeah, I mean, this division is really full of lots of good records. I mean, this conference, excuse me. But I mean, the Bears, Niners, Seahawks, they're all in there. Everyone's all in there. And this wild card race could really be big because if you look at the Lions, Panthers, Cowboys, all those teams are still in it. And you know, especially in that division, the NFC West, that things could really shake up there, and that's where my eyes are turned to. And also the NFC North. there's just a lot of chaotic divisions and a lot of good races, and it'll be exciting to see.
It's insane that to me that the Lions are outside of a playoff spot right now because they have still been such a threat, and I think are still one of the best teams in the league. But are they just lost too many games, right? Like too many close games. One to the Packers, one to the Eagles. They lost to the Vikings. That's not good at all. So I'm very worried about them and their chance of making the playoffs because right now they seem like they're on the outside looking in, unless a team like the Bears or the Niners or maybe even the Seahawks really fumble down the stretch. Talk about the AFC though, because this is also pretty interesting, especially when you consider Indy is currently on the outside looking in, and they don't know what they're doing with their quarterback room. And technically, teams like Miami and Cincinnati are still alive in this race if things go their way. Miami in terms of a wild card, and for Cincy in terms of obviously winning the division, which is still possible if we get some really strange results by the end of things here.
Yeah, and I'm surprised right now because Bengals, if win, have 5%, and for Joe Burrow, that's nothing. But as I'm looking at the division, I see the Texans they've really solidified their spot, and right now the NFL Network probabilities is if they win, they have a 94% chance of making the playoffs, which is good for them because like I said, I think they have the best defense in the NFL. And right now, I think all the spots are particularly solidified, except the Steelers spot, because I definitely think the Ravens could take that, or the Colts if Philip Rivers or Riley Leonard could really put something together.
So, do you think it's not possible at this point for the Chiefs to try to jump up and take a playoff spot because they can't win the division, so they're gonna have to do it through the wild card. So they just need to win out and hope that somebody ends up losing a couple of games, whether it's LA losing out or Houston dropping maybe two of their last four games. Do you think it's possible for Kansas City?
I mean, it's definitely possible. It's definitely a thought, but the teams looking right now, Chargers, Texans, Bills, I feel like they've really stepped up their game, but you never know. And Chargers can drop a game, Texans. I mean, but it really is tough if the Chargers lose out or if the Texans lose against like a team like Arizona if they're playing next week.
I agree. I think that these teams are pretty solidified unless Baltimore or Cincinnati end up sneaking into the the AFC North race because I really don't think that I'm still not sure if the Steelers are super legit or not. So we'll
Yeah.
continue to track that as we go throughout the rest of the NFL season. But for now, Xavier, let's talk about college football for a little bit because there were some really exciting games that happened last Saturday. The playoff bracket got released on Sunday. There was a ton of controversy. And we also got the Heisman finalists that were announced just on Monday. So let's start off with the playoff bracket because that was such a big discussion. Obviously, you have Indiana finishing as the first seed after winning the Big Ten in a close game over Ohio State. They fall number two. Georgia wins the SEC. They're at three. And then you have Texas Tech and all the teams below it. But I think the biggest conversation was about who got in and who got out. Most notably, Miami ending up getting the spot instead of Notre Dame, despite neither team playing a single game. What do you think about all this, and what's your take about who should have deserved to be in?
Well, if I'm being honest right now, I think they really put the Miami Notre Dame head to head in play because I mean Notre Dame really has looked good to me and has really impressed me, and they've won 10 games in a row, so it's really hard to turn that down. But I think they just chose the head, to, which is kind of a fair way to choose it, which Miami won. So now they're in, and right now I'm looking at James Madison and Tulane. I'm just questioning if Notre Dame is better than them, which I think they are. So that is something the committee definitely needs to maybe think about, possibly restructure. But this way of the playoff is kind of fair at least because now teams outside the Power Five still have a chance to make it in.
Yeah, it's very interesting because it's just the reason this happened is because the ACC tiebreakers basically locked Miami out of getting a chance to play for the championship because of like the way it was structured. They like lost a couple of games obviously to Louisville and SMU, but if they got a chance to play in the ACC title game against Virginia and they won, then both of them, both Miami and Notre Dame, would have been able to get in. But because that didn't happen, they were left out, and then Duke ends up beating Virginia. I think that the committee wanted to have at least one ACC team in there, and decided to do the flip. In terms of the head-to-head, I understand where they're coming from, but it was just a 3-point game that Miami won at home against Notre Dame. And it was so early into the season that if the head-to-head didn't matter when Notre Dame was ranked 10th at 6-2 and Miami was ranked 18th at 6-2 earlier on in the season, why should it matter now when they basically played the same strength of schedule? So that's my conversation. You can make the argument of whether Miami or Notre Dame is the better team or not, but I just think that it was weird that the committee basically said one week that Notre Dame was better than Miami, and then the next week just changed their minds.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of crazy if you think about it. For Notre Dame's, I definitely feel bad because you saw a committee, and you're like, oh yeah, we're in, and then they just switch their minds when no one played,
Exactly.
which is kind of crazy. I mean, it's just like, I mean, at least do that before, but really, they really got possibly maybe got their minds tricked by the head-to-head matchup, which was in the first week. And if you think about it, Miami lost 2 games to 2 unranked teams, but Notre Dame lost them to 2 ranked teams, which I think makes a pretty big difference. But I don't think the committee paid much attention to.
Yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. That's basically my thoughts as well. I think you can make an argument that the head-to-head matters, but you have to do it way before. You can't do it like only on Sunday morning after the
Yeah,
whole
that
bracket
happened.
gets released.
Didn't that happen in week 1? If I'm right, right?
Yeah, it happened in week 1 of the season. It was the first game of the college football season, one of the first games for both of them on the college football season. But okay, with that aside, let's talk about the bracket itself because it's pretty interesting. And I guess we could talk about specific games in the first round and stuff, but I think what's more interesting is how many of these teams do you think actually have a chance to win the championship? Because it's one thing to make the playoffs, it's another thing to be a title contender. We talk about like Super Bowl contenders. Who are your championship contenders in this 12-team bracket?
To me, right now, I think all the top four seeds have a chance at this. Right now, I think I'm counting out Tulane, Ole Miss, James Madison, Miami, and A&M. And Alabama, Oklahoma, I think they could possibly make a run. And Oregon, if their offense really gets together, I think they have a chance. But really, the top four seeds is really what's catching my eye. Not to be that, but these top four teams are really good.
They are really good. I think that definitely the top three. I would throw Texas Tech in there, although maybe not as strongly, just because the Big 12 isn't as strong as maybe some of the other divisions, and but they really weren't challenged towards the back end of their season. I would throw Oregon in there. I think they have a chance to win this thing if they're all fully healthy. I think that Dante Moore is a really, really good quarterback and can definitely contribute to winning. After that, I think that might be it. A&M look very inconsistent at the end of the year. Obviously, they lost to Texas. They almost lost to who is it? South
South Carolina.
Carolina. Yeah. Uh, I would throw Ole Miss out just because of their coaching situation. The two partner conferences, obviously, group of fives. I don't think they really have much of a chance. I would say maybe the winner of Alabama Oklahoma if they can beat Indiana, but I just don't even know if that's possible either. I mean, Alabama losing 3 games, including one to Florida State, and how they looked against Georgia, I don't really feel confident about them. And I don't think Oklahoma's offense has enough to offer for them to really be a title threat. So yeah, I'm gonna say just those five. I think the top 5 teams can win. Everybody else, I'm sorry, I don't think you really have a chance.
Fair take.
All right. Last thing for college before we get into the predictions for this week is the Heisman candidates got announced. 4 different people, 2 quarterbacks from the Big Ten title game in Julian Sayin and Fernando Mendoza. We have Notre Dame's running back Jeremiah Love, and then we have the quarterback for Vanderbilt, a team that also was just on the outside looking in for the playoff, in Diego Pavia. Who do you think, Xavier, has the best chance of winning this? And was there anybody that you thought could have been snubbed or you wanted to see in the race?
Well, I'm gonna say who won it, which is, in my opinion, I mean, it kind of has to be Fernando Mendoza, who I think may got snubbed. I think maybe it could be Jeremiah Love just because of his play, and he's definitely solidified the best running back in the country and has really put up monster numbers. But right now, I think Fernando Mendoza kind of deserves it just because of how he's a freshman, came in, turned this whole. I mean, Indiana was good last year, but now they're the 1 seed and they beat Ohio State, and he really hasn't shown any flaws in his game. So I think it's hard for the committee not to put Fernando as their winner.
It's kind of hard for me to think about like who was like who deserves the Heisman and who doesn't, just because it's a pretty weak Heisman year this year, I think. I would
Yeah.
say, I would say, like all the favorites say that Mendoza's gonna win, but I would vote if I had to vote. I would vote for Jeremiah Love because that guy
Yes.
was so good for Notre Dame, and honestly got snubbed a little bit just because I think people don't realize. But there's another really great running back on his team in Jadarian Price that's taking a lot of runs, taking a lot of snaps, and so I think if he was on his own team, the stats would just look even crazier. But some of the moves that he was doing, those incredibly long touchdown
Girls.
runs. The hurdles, I mean, I think he played amazing. I think he was the most impressive player of the season, but I do think they're going to give it to Mendoza.
Yeah.
I will also, just throwing it out there. I think some other people that another person could have received some love. I thought Makai Lemon uh,
Amazing season.
USC could have gotten in. He was playing really well, and I don't know. Maybe you throw in Drew Mestamaker into the mix just because of he
Yeah.
was on
True.
North Texas. He was of his amazing story, but
Or
obviously
Jacob Rodriguez,
or
linebacker.
Jacob Rodriguez, yeah, too. True. He they I stopped rooting for him when they started just giving him touchdowns to make his Heisman case better because I thought that was like kind of cheap by the team. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
like not that's not cool. All right. Well, anyway, we'll figure out the Heisman's this weekend. The winner of that, obviously. But with that, without further ado, let's dive into some of these game predictions for the NFL's Week 15 because there are definitely some very exciting matchups. Let's start off quickly with the Ravens taking on the Bengals. Xavier, who do you have winning this game?
I have the Ravens winning this game. I think their defense actually kind of comes up and stops this Joe Burrow offense so ever slightly that they come out with the win. I'll say Ravens 31, Bengals 27.
Sounds good. I'm not sure if T. Higgins is going to be around because he had that concussion that he suffered in the last game against the Bills. So we'll see if he's available. But again, I'm going to pick the Bengals just because they won in Baltimore. Why shouldn't they be able to win in Cincinnati this time? And then we'll see what happens the rest of the way. But the Bengals are going to be playing literally for their lives. If they lose this game, they're surely eliminated from any playoff contention. So I'll say they win this one 35-27. Let's move on to the Chargers and the Chiefs, Xavier. This is, again, the Chiefs, really one of their last chances of trying to come away with the playoff berth as well. They're going to be at Arrowhead again. Do you think they have a chance to win?
That era been coming away offense really has proved themselves yet. I say, I say the Chiefs win this one. I'll give them 27-21.
I'm gonna pick the I'm gonna pick the Chargers. I think it's over for the Chiefs at least until next year. They just do not look very good on the offensive end. Um, whether it's the coaching or something, it just is not looking good. The Chargers were able to win a scrappy battle against the Eagles, and I think they could do the same here against the Chiefs. I'll have them winning this game 21-17. Bills Pats. The Patriots won in Buffalo earlier on this season. That was really their coming out party. Now they're 11-2, looking for an 11th straight win. You think they do it here against Buffalo and complete the sweep?
I'm actually going to this game, matter of fact. So,
Oh, really? That's exciting.
yep,
Oh, wow.
with my Bills friend. I think it's a really tough task with the Bills going in at Foxborough. I definitely think they could well in this game. I think Josh puts up, let's say, 2 rushing touchdowns, and Drake May has a great game, but the defense really just can't stop Josh Allen. So I'll say the Bills win 31-29.
I think I'm going to pick the Bills too. I think it's going to be close, just as you said, just like the last game was. But I think they win this one, just overpowering on the offensive end.
I, I
Um,
say I say James Cook has a big game too.
Yeah, James Cook has been so good for the Bills recently. I'm going to say the Bills win this one 34-28, a high-scoring game. So make sure that you have a good time when you're at the game. Let's go Packers Broncos. This is a crazy game that is also happening. Two really hot teams in the NFL. Who do you have winning this game?
I did not see this game come on schedule, but I sure do like it. I mean, Green Bay has just been looking so good. I mean, they beat the Lions and the Bears the past 2 weeks and haven't really had any flaws with Jordan Love playing like he's playing. I mean, I think if Jordan Love balls out again, I say Packers win this one in Denver, and they really give Denver that scare to maybe shouldn't be sitting at 11-2. I'll say they win 31 to. I mean, I'll say they win 27-24.
I know I've been a Denver hater all year, but I'm going to pick them to win this game at home. I think that the offense has actually started to really come together. Even though it's not like one superstar coming up, I just think the unit has been working out pretty well. Marvin Mims with the return touchdown, a punt return touchdown last week. I think he's going to come alive and start to play well with RJ Harvey. And yeah, just the fact that they're at home, I'm going to pick them to go 12-2 and win this game. Very low scoring potentially. I'll have them winning 20 to 10 final score. Lions Rams. This is the big Jared Goff Matthew Stafford battle. They're going to be in LA this time. Who do you have winning this game?
Really tough game. I think that the Lions are living off of their playoff hopes. I'll say that the Lions. I mean, I'll say that the Rams. I think the Rams will come out with this victory, even though the Lions' playoff chances will really take a dive. I'll say they win 24-20.
Man, I think the Rams have looked really good, and but the Lions are just going to come out firing. I know the Rams defense has been solid, but the Lions offense is just waiting to burst out. They scored 44 points against the Cowboys. I think they can put up maybe not as much, but put up a good fight against the Rams. Jahmyr Gibbs is having just an all-time season right now. Jameson Williams is really breaking out as well. I'll say that the Lions win this game 30-25 final score. And last but not least, do you think the Colts have any chance here with Phillip Rivers debuting against the Seattle Seahawks at 10-3?
The Seahawks are really looking too good, and they're playing at Lumen Field. I'll say the Seahawks win this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Seahawks win big as well. Their defense is just so good. I think Phillip Rivers might throw 3 picks. I think they might lose
Yeah,
pretty
definitely a
big.
possibility.
I'll say 20. I'll say 28-9 final score in my prediction here. All right, Xavier. It was a fun episode. We covered a lot of ground. Thanks so much. And what do you have to say before we tune out for the day?
Peace.
Peace out, everyone. Thanks for watching.